I know this is going to sound really unusual at first, but listen to this. I'm sure that a lot of you have heard about fecal transplants now because it has been out. It has been used in modern medicine and many years ago for helping people with gut bacteria resistance to antibiotics for things like C. difficile, other types of gut issues. It's now being used for many other things. Fecal transplantation is very widely used, and it's used in children, pediatrics, and adults. So listen to how I first heard about this. I've been working peds for on the floor and in the clinic for so many years now, probably 15 or 20 years. And then I decided that one of the other hospitals down the road that's owned by the same company needed help with admissions for adults. So during my orientation at that hospital, you know how hospital orientations are, or other onboarding of other facilities. It's early in the morning, it takes a few days or a few weeks, and you're learning their computer system and you're getting welcomed into their hospital. And here we show up at 7:30 in the morning. So the director of nursing is up front. She's welcoming all of us nurses, and she was super proud to announce, now this was probably 15 years ago. So this nursing director is saying, welcome everybody. We're really proud because at this hospital, we were one of the most successful. Fecal transplantation has the most successful team for doing this. What, excuse me? And I look around and everybody else is just sitting there like they're bored and drinking their coffee. And I'm like, did she say fecal transplantation? Fecal transplants? You're thinking of other transplants that maybe this hospital is really well known for, but it's really well known for fecal transplants. That was the first that I had ever heard about it, because in pediatrics it wasn't used then. I never saw it in peds, inpatient or clinic, never even heard about this. So in orientation, that was my first introduction to fecal transplants. I find it to be really fascinating, really interesting, and now I just am so excited for people to be finally healed, and it's being used for different things. It is 90% or so effective for people who have had recurrences in things like C. difficile. And if you know anybody who has had that, it's very contagious. A lot of elderly people maybe get it, other people get it. It can be running rampant in nursing homes and other places, and it can be really difficult to treat, and it can come back. It's extremely painful. It's an inflammatory gut bacteria illness. There's a lot of gut pain, a lot of liquid diarrhea that goes on 10, 20 times a day or more. And fecal transplants for this illness are wildly successful. But how is it done? How is a fecal transplant done? I'll tell you. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about the history, because I find this to be really fascinating too. Earliest known use of fecal transplantation was described in 4th century China. A physician named Gi Hong documented a treatment known as yellow soup. Okay, I'm going to tell you how this is now to make sure that the fecal transplant, the material now is mixed with, like normal saline. It turns into a liquid form. It can be put down through an NG, like a colonoscopy. It can be done rectally, like an enema. It can be freeze-dried and in capsule form. But back in this day, yellow soup, I do wonder how did they consume this to make sure it got in the right place. It was a suspension, though, that was made back then from a healthy donor and given to the patients at that time, where they noticed that people who had medical issues were feeling better and even getting cured. Similar practices appeared in other cultures over time, and in the 17th century it was used in veterinary medicine. It is still used in veterinary medicine today. Fast forward now to modern medicine, and in the 1950s, where in 1958 a surgeon named Dr. Ben Eisman published one of the first modern medicine reports describing fecal transplantation. God help me, I'm sorry. Today we understand that we have trillions of bacteria in our gut, and it is a delicate balance to keep things healthy. Another word for that is gut microbiome. The gut microbiome helps us to ward off infection, treat illnesses, helps with digestion, vitamin production, and many other things. When antibiotics interrupt, or illnesses interrupt that microbiome, that's where things become imbalanced and people can become very ill. The illness can lead to severe dehydration, chronic diarrhea, C. difficile, colitis, and other things. So how is this fecal transplantation done? It is done in a lab or in a clinic. It is under supervision in carefully controlled conditions. However, I have seen it on many documentaries where people are doing this on their own, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. The lab then isolates the beneficial bacteria. It does get mixed and turned into a type of liquid. It can, like I mentioned, get freeze-dried, put in capsules, can be administered through an enema, or can be given through an NG tube. And when I have watched this, the patients are not awake for the NG tube part, and or the, like, you're going to get a colonoscopy or an endoscopy, you're not awake for that either, but it can be delivered that way as well. It is a very quick and a very successful procedure. Interest in fecal transplantation surged again in the 2000s, and now it is used as standard practice around the world, or in most areas of the world, for treatment of C. difficile. Researchers then began publishing more articles about this and showing, proving, doing it over and over, and demonstrating how effective this type of treatment can be. Researchers are now using this type of fecal transplantation for this procedure to be used for things like inflammatory bowel disease, not just C. difficile, but obesity. Is that exciting? Autoimmune disorders, neurological conditions. What I read recently was like, are you kidding me? For chronic migraine therapy. I'm just now researching the articles on that, but I heard about it from one of the doctors that I follow on his YouTube channel. Can you believe this? Okay, well, you all know who know me, know that I go to the migraine clinic up at Seattle at University of Washington. I have been on their protocol for 10 years now. If I do something like this, I'll take you all with me. So here's one article I was able to find. Migraine as a disease associated with dysbiosis and possible therapy with fecal transplantation, 2023. Okay, so this isn't the best medical article, but this is the first one that I found after I had heard about some fecal transplantation going on, being researched now to be used for chronic migraines. There's a neural link between the gut and the brain via the vagus nerve. It goes on to talk about the connection between healthy gut bacteria, healthy microbiome, and chronic migraine disease. So now it's being researched for treatment for that. And I'm going to ask about that at my next headache clinic appointment, and I'll get back with you. So the whole goal is to restore and heal the gut microbiome, and therefore healing the illness that this patient might have. Our health is associated with these invisible ecosystems in our body. So many things truly are connected. My name is Lisa. I'm a registered nurse, and I'm here to help you understand about science-based medical conditions and treatments in a clear manner and with compassion. If this is your kind of thing, please consider subscribing and do this. It's free and it helps the algorithm tremendously. Thank you for joining me today. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you at the next health video.